Carter Bryant is like Shane Battier on steroids.
Said it, I'm golden. Told you I'm shining. Had to break through. Plan perfect timing. Giving no hands. Go get it. Radix the ruler. With them peasants.
The Miami Heat picked 20th overall in the upcoming 2025 NBA draft. And so far in our draft series, I've discussed Liam McNeely, Rasheer Fleming, Noah Asenge, Will Riley, Nick Clifford, Walter Clayton Jr., Cedric Howard, Nolan Traore, Ben Sahav, Jace Richardson, and now Carter Bryant, because so many people wanted me to talk about him. So shout out to all the people that recommended I look into him. I greatly appreciate it. And if you are new here, make sure to subscribe because your support means a lot to me, and drop some of your comments down below of who you want to see me talk about next. Now, regarding Carter Bryant, I was really hesitant on making this video because I feared that I would fall in love with him as a prospect just for him to not be available when the Miami Heat pick at number 20. Because as I started scouring different mock drafts, I saw CBS and Bleacher Report have him mocked at 19. The Ringer and Yahoo had him mocked at number 10. Tankathon had him mocked at number 14. But there was one saving grace that gives me hope of a potential Carter Bryant slide, and that was NBADraft.net, who I'll admit historically has had some pretty crazy mock drafts. They tend to be the most different from everybody else, but they did have Carter Bryant going 6 spots after the Miami Heat are selected a pick at number 26. And I really like Bryant. I mean, even in that name, when I think of Bryant in NBA history, of course you think of one of the greatest players ever.
In the corner, Bryant, another three. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I only made that joke because I had to shout out Thomas Bryant for his Game 6 performance. But that being said, if Thomas Bryant is helping lead the Indiana Pacers to an NBA Finals, then next year, the Miami Heat definitely have a chance to get there, especially if they draft a guy who I believe is ready to play right now, like Carter Bryant, because his NBA measurables at the official combine came in pretty good. He measured a little bit over 6'6", but he had a nearly 7-foot wingspan. He was 214 pounds and actually had the 4th highest max vertical leap at 39.5 inches. So it's pretty close to my vert as well. But he's only 19 years old, so he still does have some room to grow. But at 19 years old, 19 years old, where he was at a freshman at Arizona, the numbers really won't jump out at you. I mean, if you were just a box score watcher or like me, you started your research by looking at the numbers, I was a bit confused why he was mocked so high. He only averaged about 6.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, and an assist on 46% shooting from the field and 37% from 3 on just under 3 attempts. So really not a huge sample size in general, not even with games played or minutes, I guess. Played 37 games, only started 5 of them, only played 19 minutes a night. Now, it was kind of a stacked Arizona team. They did go 3 games into the tournament before eventually losing to Duke. I think Arizona was a 4 seed. So they were a good team. But then as I did some more research regarding Carter Bryant, I realized that he was mocked so much higher than his numbers look because of his athleticism and the defensive potential associated with it, because he is a guy that initially, before March Madness and stuff, was mocked in the late 20s, but he has been one of the highest risers since the combine, where everybody really got to look at his physical tools. Kind of the opposite of Jace Richardson, the guy that we discussed in our last draft video. He was mocked a lot higher initially, but then he came in at about 6 feet once the combine measurements came in. He was a lot shorter than people thought, so his draft stock kind of dropped, while Carter Bryant is on the opposite end. He's been one of the fastest risers, so there's potential that he could fall to the Heat, but at this point, it's not a guarantee. Just to give you some player comps of guys that I've seen to give you an idea of his play style, I saw Marcus Morris, Jeff Green, Trevor Ariza. Of course, all of those guys kind of fit the perennial 3-and-D mold. But then another comp that I saw that I really love and I think could be Carter Bryant's ceiling is Aaron Gordon. You talk about a guy who has an ability to be a spot-up shooter and an elite versatile defender because of his athleticism. I don't think he's as athletic as Aaron Gordon was or is, but I do think that could be his ceiling. That being said, if you look at all these player comps, they're all pretty much guys that had a very low floor, but a high ceiling, I guess is how you would say, because, I mean, think, Trevor Ariza, been in the league for 18 years. Jeff Green, is he still in the league? He's pushing year 20 by now. Obviously, Marcus Morris was in the league for a long time. Same thing with Aaron Gordon. But none of those guys really turned into superstars. But they were all good enough to play for a very, very long time because they had some pretty high floors, although their ceiling was potentially capped. But now let's get into some of the strengths and weaknesses. As always, these are the ones that Kevin O'Connor had in his Yahoo article, but I'll share my opinions as well based off my independent research. The first strength that they list is cutting, and really just in general, his ability to move without the ball. It mentions how he's always looking for cutting opportunities. A lot of them he finishes with very powerful lobs, and then it also notes that he'll typically do whatever the team needs, whether it's setting a screen, staying active in the dunker spot, crashing the boards. These are all characteristics that I love for a guy coming in at the 20th pick in the draft to a team that already has some established guys like Hero, like Bam Adebayo. We always mention the prospects that can do these little things because, yeah, a lot of these guys in college were the man. They had the ball a lot. They were pretty ball dominant. But coming into the Miami Heat, you're not going to be that guy. You are now a role player when you were previously a star in your whole life. And if you can't adjust by doing these little things, then I don't think you can succeed in the NBA. With Carter Bryant, you don't have to worry about that. Same thing with Jace Richardson, just to compare them two again. Obviously, Jace is a guard. They're not similar players. But he had the ball a lot at Michigan State, but he was also very, very good at doing the little things. So although I was concerned about his size, I do think he could thrive as a role player in the NBA. And the same thing goes with Carter Bryant because he's able to do these little things. I think another Arizona great, Pelle Larsson. They both went to Arizona. Carter Bryant, Keshad Johnson, Pelle Larsson. All of these guys really do the little things, and I think that's why we saw Pelle earn a lot of minutes last year, is because he was able to be productive without the ball. He had the high IQ to find the open spots on the court and make the right read and hustle hard, crashing boards, all these same things we just said for Carter Bryant. So that's the biggest benefits with him. I know I spent quite a while just talking about his first strength, but truthfully, that's really all the strengths, at least at this moment. I guess outside of defense, we'll talk about his defense next. For some reason, Kevin O'Connor listed his next strength as defensive upside. I don't really know why he said upside. I actually thought Carter Bryant was a pretty great defender as a rookie. His highlights on the defensive end kind of reminded me of what Ryan Dunn did at Virginia. I don't want to compare those two players because Bryant shot 37% from three in college. Ryan Dunn was like 20%. He was a much worse shooter. But defensively, the way they were able to use their wingspan and athleticism to just embarrass the hell out of guys was so fun to watch. Whether it was Carter Bryant letting guys blow past him so he could pin their shot against the glass, or whether it was him rotating across the lane to smack someone else's ball 10 rows into the stands. He's a very athletic defender and uses that athleticism to really shut people down. I'm not sure if he'll be as good of an on-ball defender, but I think he'll be a great off-ball defender because of his IQ to rotate and athleticism to get there quickly. I think he can be a good on-ball defender as well, but just, I want to continue to see his lateral quickness against NBA-level guards. And maybe that's the reason why Kevin O'Connor said defensive upside, is because he didn't get to do a lot of it in college, I suppose. But when you have the tools that he has, a 7-foot wingspan, that's what Haywood Highsmith has. Haywood Highsmith is basically an inch shorter, same wingspan, and we see the level of defender that Haywood Highsmith is. He's excellent. Now you throw in 20 more inches of vertical because Haywood Highsmith is not athletic for shit, but you have Carter Bryant, who's this athletic freak. I think his defensive potential is really through the roof. And then the last strength that Kevin O'Connor lists is his spot-up shooting. Between his 3 conference playoff games and 3 tournament games before Arizona lost to Duke, he shot 45% from 3. If you want to just go based off his last stretch and really the most important games, the clutch games, the playoff games, 45% from 3 on almost 4 attempts is very good. However, those numbers may be a bit fluky because I would be remiss to not note that he also shot 29% from 2 in those same 6 games. So I don't want to use that 6-game sample size to prop up his 3-point shooting and then neglect that he couldn't make a layup or mid-range shots. But either way, his sample size is all pretty small with this stuff. Even his free throw percentage as a freshman was just under 70%. He was at 69 nice percent, but it was only on 1.6 attempts. And if you're shooting less than 2 free throw attempts a game, the free throw percentages are always going to be fluky. But if you want to look at his mechanics, they're fine. They're not perfect. Low key, he kind of reminds me of Jason Tatum's form. He won't be the shooter that Tatum is, but we all know how Tatum has that little jerky thing that he does with his knees and then the arms, and I think Carter Bryant has a little bit of that. It's not as ugly as I just made it look here. It's not. It's fine, but it just reminded me. I see a little bit of Tatum in it. I don't know. Let me know if y'all notice it too. But then as far as his weaknesses, I mean, it says shot creation. The second one was shooting versatility. Both of those things are kind of similar. The shooting versatility, they mentioned that he's a good spot-up shooter, not good running off of screens or movement shooting. It's like you're not looking at him to be Duncan Robinson. If you were looking for another Duncan Robinson, you would draft Liam McNeely or Walter Clayton Jr. That's not going to be Carter Bryant's role. I don't care if he could shoot off the movement. If he can hit a spot-up three at 40% like Haywood Highsmith did, we're cool. And as far as the shot creation, again, I don't care. I don't care if he has a great handle. You're drafting him to be a potential elite 3-and-D player. I don't really need him handling the ball. Like, we see Haywood Highsmith put the ball on the deck once in a while. It makes me throw up in my mouth. Why are you dribbling, Haywood Highsmith? That's not your game. Stand in the corner, shoot your threes, hit your little push shot once in a while when you get in the lane. That's it. Keep playing great defense, and I'm cool with you. As far as his fit on the Miami Heat, like I was saying earlier, I think that Carter Bryant has a very high floor, but a very low ceiling, which typically is not bad for a 20th pick in the draft if you're able to get a guy right away who can contribute because, you know, he's a reliable player. He's not a project type of guy. Typically, that's good. But that's because usually in the 20s, you know, the later in the draft, you're going to a contender. But in this case, the Miami Heat are not a contender. So I don't necessarily see the purpose of getting a ready-to-win now guy if you're not ready to win now. Now, if you're able to swing a trade for Kevin Durant and keep this pick, well, okay, Kevin Durant is not quite the defender he is now at his older age. So if you're able to start Durant, get some offense, bring a Carter Bryant off the bench to play some defense, we're cool. You know, imagine a bench unit of Davion Mitchell and Carter Bryant. You know, you need to have like a Tyler Hero or someone in there so you can still score. But defensively, I mean, you got a monster wing that could guard, you know, 2 through 4, and then put Khalil Ware in there, could guard the 5s. Davion Mitchell, we know what he does in the backcourt. I do think the Heat have the potential to put together a very scary defensive unit with Carter Bryant. I think he is a Heat culture guy in that regard. I would like to see the Heat lean more in that direction of the tough, hard-nosed defense, and that is something that Carter Bryant could do. So it'd be cool to have someone with his defensive potential for sure, but I'm not necessarily a fan of drafting Carter Bryant just because I think there's some better options out there. Out of the guys we discussed already, some guys with kind of similar molds, or at least the ability to play the 3-and-D mold in addition to other things. I like some of those other guys better, like Rasheer Fleming, Noah Asenge, especially Cedric Coward. I mean, Cedric Coward also has like a 7'2". I think he has like a 7'2" wingspan, actually. And he is a much better scorer than Carter Bryant. So I think I'd be more interested in a lot of those guys. But, you know, all of that being said, Carter Bryant is still an elite 3-and-D player, or has the potential to be elite at that. And that is the type of guy that I think every team can use. I just personally like some of these other prospects better that are already mocked to go after him. That being said, that's really all I got to say for this video. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. What do you think Carter Bryant's ceiling is in the NBA? I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. And like and subscribe, do all that other good stuff. You can check out my last couple of videos. I posted like some Zion trade packages and some Pelicans trade packages. We've been working on all kind of stuff this offseason in addition to the draft coverage. So if you missed that, go check it out. That being said, I'll see y'all in the next video. So peace out.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.